In addition to the various kinds of financial and accounting formats in Excel, there are also some specialized numeric formats for what we see in columns D, also in columns E and F. Nothing truly wrong with the data in column D, but Social Security numbers are typically displayed with dashes after the first three characters and then after the next two after that. So the data in column D, although accurate, is not displayed in a conventional way. Let's press Control-1 to enter Format Cells dialog box and recognize that in the number category, there is Special, and there is Social Security number. Click OK. We see what's happened. If you click one of these cells and look in the formula bar, you don't see the dashes there. If you happen to double-click to make it change, I'm going to change this to an 8 and get rid of that 7. We're not seeing any dashes here at all. Press Enter. There they are. It's ideally best if you format these before you put in the data, but you can certainly do it after the fact, as we saw here. And similar with the phone numbers in columns E and F. This time, right-click, go into Format Cells, and also in the number category, under Special, Phone Number. This handles both 7-digit and 10-digit numbers. We don't see too much of the 7-digit numbers anymore, but they're covered as well. And as soon as we make our choice here, click OK, and we now see the parentheses, the additional space, and the hyphen. So when you're typing entries like this, the logic is why type 14 characters instead of 10? You want to do the minimal amount of typing when these entries need to be corrected or entered. And here too, as with Social Security numbers, if you look in the formula bar, you don't see any of those additional characters. If you happen to double-click in a cell, you don't see those characters either. And here too, it makes good sense. Apply this formatting at the beginning of data entry or possibly later. If you do get data like this that specifically has these characters, it's even worth the effort, for example, to click column F. If those really were the characters and they were actually there, you can use the Home tab and replace the left parentheses with nothing, then replace the right parentheses in the space with nothing, and then the hyphens. And then after that, use the format that we just used, and then from there on in, you won't need to type anything but the 10 characters that are appropriate. Now, column I is using fractions. Those are a lot less frequently used these days because of the way the stock market quotes are now handled. But they do have a role to play, and you can see what's happening here, a simple division of these two entries. But it's easy to make a little mistake here because this format, and as I right-click here and go into Format Cells, you'll see it's fraction. But there are 3 entries here. Also some others that are more obscure, but we can use these. Now, this says up to 1 digit, up to 2 digits. Keep an eye on those numbers. I'm going to choose up to 2 digits. Now, probably most of them will not change, but a few did. 8/13. Now, what did this say before? 5/8. Was that close? Well, yeah, it was close, but it's not really there, is it? And again, if you want to use fractions, remember when you press Control-1 or right-click Format Cells, I think it's probably best to choose up to 3 digits. Recognize that even some of these might not be accurate if you're working with scientific data. Now, when I say accurate, I mean regardless of what's being displayed here, the real value is there. The real value is there even if it's not being displayed. And so that can get a little confusing at times. You want to learn not to take the fractions at face value. Now, at present, these are all correct, and those are accurate. But if we had numbers in the hundreds and we were using a 2-character display here instead of a 3, we might have some issues. And similarly, in the data in column N, if I were to display these as fractions and I were in a hurry, and I press Control-1 and then choose fraction, 1 digit, I'll simply click OK. I think you can see pretty readily that 8 is not 1/3 of 22. And yet what is really being displayed here? If we were to temporarily turn this into general format with Control-Shift-tilde, we'd see that's the accurate number. And that, as I press Control-Z to undo, is not 1/4 for sure. So you want to be careful with the fractions. But recognize these are built into Excel. You can use these at different times. They make sense in the right context. Be very careful with the fractions, particularly based on the examples that we saw here. And earlier, recognize Social Security numbers, phone numbers, good built-in features for formatting these quickly and easily.